In this review, we look at another model from one of the large Chinese original equipment manufacturers. The company is XCMG, and the machine being modelled is the XGC220T telescopic crawler crane. It is 1:50 scale, or as the box says, Sleigh 1:50. As you can see, the branded box comes in an unusual style with a carry handle, and it's good to see that the model maker is given credit, and it's Yagao of China. Inside the box we've got the usual pair of expanded polystyrene trays, and the top one has its own lid with a couple of parts inside. It is all factory sealed with tape, and if we take off the top tray, the rest of the parts look well wrapped. The crawler tracks are protected for shipping with cling film type material, but it's best not to be too aggressive pulling it off, because you might give a bit of a pull on the crawler tracks. The crane cab also has its own protective packaging. Included with the model is an instruction sheet, and helpfully it is printed in Chinese and English. We'll start the assembly by reeving up the hooks, and to do that we take the masking tape off the winch drums and pull out some rope. We fast forward, and here are the two hooks added on. Out of the box the counterweight tray is fitted, so all we need to do is to get the giant hand crane to load on the counterweight blocks. They are made of separate pieces, and you build up 2 stacks of 5 blocks each. Next, for travelling on site, we can raise the boom a bit, and it's supported by a metal ram, which you lock in place by using an Allen key on a grub screw. Out of the box the crawler tracks are retracted, so we'll extend the frames for lifting mode, and that increases the size of the footprint of the crane. We'll start with the extension beams for the track frames, which strangely stick out. It's not clear why it's been modelled like this, when the point of the moving track frames is to reduce the width. On the other hand, the crawler tracks appear to be a good representation of the real machines, and there are a number of working rollers on the track frames, and you can see where they are from the location of the pins. There are outrigger beams and pads for use during self-assembly of the crane, and there is central ballast on both sides. On the cab, the protection grille and grab rails are plastic, but there's a nice thin windscreen wiper, and the overall detailing of the cab inside and out is pleasing enough. There are solid walkways with a textured surface. The decoration of the body is nice with sharp graphics, and there are highlighted panel handles. The counterweight blocks have got usable lifting lugs and excellent graphics, and an area of high detailing is around the engine, and you can just see it, and it's chrome finished. There's some finer detailing around the winch drums, and there are slewing motors also, but with no hydraulic hoses. On the other side of the body there's a mixture of etched grills and graphics, and the graphics on the side of the boom are high quality. There's a spooling drum on each side of the boom, and the pulleys at the boom head are metal. The large metal hook block is a good looking piece. For the working features, we'll start by looking at the crawler tracks, and they're well engineered and roll easily by hand. They also roll on a rough surface, but with some occasional slippage. It looks like it would be possible to remove the crawler track frames by pushing out some pins, but the model's not really been designed to facilitate that. It would also be possible to remove the central ballast, but again that would involve pushing out some friction pins. But if you did do those things, you could simulate self-erection using the outrigger beams. Crawler cranes like this are designed to lift their own counterweight, and if we take the blocks off the model we can see what can be done here. The hydraulic lift rams do have a good range of upward movement, but they can't go low enough to lift the ballast frame from the ground. Also, the chains are fixed to the ballast plate, so they're not easily detachable. Out of the box the ballast plate is pinned, but it looks like they are removable. The design of the winches is also unusual, because the ends are not designed to take a winch key. So to operate the winch drums you have to push them in to release the brake, and literally the rope can be easily pulled off. But of course it's a different story to wind the rope in, because you have to do that manually, so don't expect any high winch speeds. Included with the model is a load block you can hang from one of the hooks, and it's a very nice shiny XCMG casting. The telescopic boom works in the normal way, you just pull out the sections, and they slide easily enough. It is best to make sure you have loads on the hooks when you do this. The sections are locked in the usual way by spring clips, and each section has 3 locking positions. The crane cab is interesting because it's on a full hinge, and presumably it's to minimise the overall width when it's being transported. The other working part of the cab is that it can be fully tilted. There's a 2-piece metal fly jib with the model, but unusually it cannot be posed fixed to the side of the boom when not in use. The pieces are joined together by tiny nuts and bolts, and 2 tools are included with the model so you can do them up. The fly jib attaches to the boom head, and once you place it, you fix it with some more nuts and bolts. A nice feature of the fly jib is that it has an adjustable offset angle, and it does that using a hydraulic ram. Let's now do a dim check on the model and see how high the 7-piece boom gets. And it's about 54 inches or 137 centimeters to the top of the boom, and it's 69 inches or 175 centimeters to the top of the fly jib. It is also quite a heavy model, so let's get the cranes etc. weigh bridge out, and it weighs in at 5 pounds or 2¼ kilograms. This is a model of an interesting crane by Yagao. On the one hand, fully erected, it looks good, and there are some nice aspects in the detailing. On the other hand, some of the model engineering decisions are unusual, and don't seem to really reflect how the real crane works. Overall, this model is rated as good.